playing the game right now.
Yeah. And they look like they're having a lot of fun. You know, if we say it's Super Bowl Sunday, do we have to pay somebody? I mean, do we have to say it's Big Game Sunday or? I'm not sure.
Since we've said it 2 or 3 times now, we're either going to get fined or it's going to be okay.
Okay. Well, it is Super Bowl Sunday. We've got Gus Frerotte as a guest today. However, this is not a football podcast. This is a golf podcast. So why don't we come back in a few minutes and talk about golf? Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Hang out. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted to give yourself better odds on winning a bet? Well, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a chance to do just that. All players who place a bet on Sunday night's basketball game between LA and Denver will have a hand in lowering the over-under on the game. That's right. For every 1,000 players who bet the over on Sunday night's game, the over-under will drop by 1 point. The best part is that even as the line lowers, the odds remain at even money. That's right. You can double your money by hammering the over. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Hi, this is Neil Michaels. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code APPROACH when you sign up to hammer the over on Sunday night's basketball game when LA takes on Denver. For every 1,000 people that bet the over in Sunday's game, the line will decrease by 1 point. Yes, this is your chance to improve the odds of the over hitting. So tell your friends and family because this is a team effort. Hammer the over and improve your odds of doubling your money. That's promo code APPROACH for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, Michigan, or Virginia only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT or in Virginia, 888-532-3500.
All right. Thanks for hanging. We are back. The Approach Shot. I am John Ashton. He is Neil Michaels. Gus Frerotte is our guest. Gus, did you play golf when you were a kid?
No, I didn't. I never picked up a set of clubs until I was in college. That wasn't one of the things that my dad taught me.
I have a question about athletes in general. I'm a Minnesota Twins baseball fan. And so when I saw the other day that Aaron Hicks, who used to play for the Twins and has been a Yankee for a while, just got a hole-in-one, and it was all over social media, not only because he had a hole-in-one on a par 4, but because he did it while he was playing with Tiger Woods' niece. It just, it's interesting when guys who aren't known as golfers do something as amazing as hit a hole-in-one on a par 4, which is kind of remarkable.
Crazy.
What's the feeling when you're out there as a former athlete playing a different sport?
And have something like that happen to you? Well, the feeling's incredible. Like the first time I had a hole-in-one, I had 2 in my life. First time, I had no idea. I didn't even know how to tee the ball up or hold the club or anything. It just went, I thought it was in the woods. Somehow it rolled down off the hill onto the green and my ball was in the hole, right? And even the people I was playing with, everybody shot in the hundreds and it was like, okay, we had no idea what we were doing. So I consider that a hole-in-one still, right? But it was just pure luck. And I think anything in golf like that, most of the time for most of us, is pure luck.
Exactly.
And my second one, I was actually playing in a tournament. It was a quarterback tournament, and the Washington State University putting it on. I mean, you had all the guys there from Elway to Marino. Everybody was there. Sonny Jurgensen, people that I knew, old and new players were all there. And I was playing with the athletic director from Washington State, Rick Dixon, who I knew very well. Okay. So we were playing. It was a par 3. They had the car on the hole. The cameras were all there. It was a big tournament. And it was 145 yards. Right? And for me, that's a pitching wedge. And so I'm hitting a pitching wedge, and one bounce goes right in. And like the whole place is going nuts, right? And my wife was even pregnant in a golf cart watching, driving with me, right? Because at that point we were having our first child, so we went everywhere. We did everything together. And so I could care less how I played. I was up at the top of the leaderboard by the end of the tournament. I'm down at the bottom, but who cares? I had a hole-in-one, right? So at the banquet at the end of the night, I'm sitting there. It was my wife and I, and Sonny Jurgensen, Billy Kilmer. We're all sitting there. It's like kind of the Washington football team table. And Sonny goes, how are you going to get the car home? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, you're going to win that car for getting a hole-in-one. That's where the car was. And I looked at my wife and I said, what do you think, Ann? And she goes, well, we'll just drive it home. And I'm like, it sounds good to me. We're in Idaho and we got to drive back to D.C. That was fine with me, though. They come up to the part where they're going to talk about, hey, we had a hole-in-one today, right? And so Sonny's like, get ready. You're going to go up and talk about it. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And they go, for your hole-in-one today, we got an incredible prize for you. And Sonny's like, here you go. And all of a sudden they go, we have a picture of the hole for you. Congratulations. Sonny Jurgensen stands up and says, what? Give him the car. And they're like, oh, no, because the insurance, the hole was too short.
Oh.
But that's the only place they could put the car. But that was a great, it was on film. And my wife watched it. Other people saw it. So that was the only time it's ever been. It was like well documented.
Gus, if you wanted to have your wife push the baby out, there were other ways to do it.
Right. Yeah. Just a bumpy car ride home, right?
Right. When you said that you agreed to driving across country with a pregnant wife, which would have taken 3 days, I'm not so sure I would have volunteered.
I thought it would have been pretty cool to have like your baby in the middle of like Montana or Wyoming somewhere, right? On the way back. It would have been pretty cool.
And where were you born? I-70, exit 43.
Yes. That would have been great.
So have you ever taken any lessons or anything, or is it just you keep playing and you get better, or do you still really stink?
I've taken one lesson. I used to go down to Dan Marino's golf tournament all the time and play, and I just got some lessons from a pro down there around the green on, how to, different kind of shots, if it's down in, if it's, in the short, rough, long stuff, whatever. And just, those shots are so important when you're playing. Keep your score down. And so I just wanted to learn a little bit more about the game in that way. And other than that, I've been in a swing man getting new clubs with a pro and a couple times. And, my ball speed, like the spin on the ball is too high. That's why I fade it. It's just what it is. I'm like right at the low 80s and I can't get any better.
Yeah.
But also I don't work hard enough to get any better.
Right.
I probably could.
It takes work. Like any athletic endeavor, it takes work, man.
Yeah, I just have fun golfing. Yeah. Last 10 years or, since I've retired, I've been keeping my gin and all that. And it's been wonderful to kind of see my progression. And my favorite thing to do, which I tell everybody to do, is don't mark down your score. Mark down how many putts you have every round. Yeah. Like if you go through and you have 50 putts, like get it down to 40, right? Think about it like that. Like those 3 or 4 footers that you go out with your buddies and they're all gimmies, go out and do it for real.
Yeah.
And see if you actually make and see what your score is then.
Yeah.
You find the competitive spirit that you had on the field translates on the golf course, or do you treat it differently?
No, I could throw a football way more accurately than I can hit a golf ball. There's got to be some brews involved, definitely, on a hot day to go out and have some fun. If you get a couple buddies together and you want to go out and make some bets out there, I love doing that. I'm not a big gambler in that sense, but it's just for me. It's just going out and trying to be better than I was the last time.
Do you ever play football recreationally?
Yeah, I talk about that on my podcast a lot. Is like football is the only sport really where you don't like have a second life in the sport that you play, right? There's you can go out and play softball or baseball still. There's a lot of leagues out there.
Right.
You can go out and play basketball. Basketball's everywhere. Yeah. Obviously, if you're a golfer, you can golf the rest of your life. And there's all these sports you can, like, even in hockey, these guys can go play. You see these guys go to get these rinks and they go play hockey because they loved it. Mm-hmm. Football's the only sport where there's no leagues. There's nothing like that, right? There's some 7-on-7 stuff, but it's not the same, So I don't really go out and play anymore. My shoulder's kind of messed up, so I really can't throw like I used to, so it's not even fun for me.
I think that's why we all love golf, even those of us who are terrible at it. Right, Neil? It's just fun.
Why would you look at me when you said that?
I have my reasons.
Yeah, I'm waiting to get that flag on my cart so I can just drive it wherever I want.
I want to pull up within 10 feet of that green.
That's interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he mentioned a golf word I had never heard before, which was Aquaman. Have you heard this? That is a term. It's apparently when you're either too drunk or too stupid and you accidentally back your cart into a lake.
Never done that. So
things we aspire to. And he said it as if he had done it himself a couple of times, and that his buddies had done it a couple of times. And I thought, did I miss out on this? Is this something that apparently I was never taught?
Yeah, it's not like when you're going down a wet fairway, right? And in Pennsylvania here, it's all hills, right? And you go down and you start spinning because the brakes kick in, and you're like, there's some dew on the thing, and you're like, oh, hang on, you don't. And then if the cart does flip, you can flip it back over. Nobody really knows. But if you back into a lake, everybody knows. Everybody really knows.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about your podcast here for a minute before we take a break. I know that this is something that you take a lot of pride in.
It is. It's fun to do. It's fun to hear people's stories about how sports affects their life, how it shaped their life, and how they started, right? Everybody has a different story, and sometimes I've interviewed people who weren't great athletes, but they just fell in love with sports. I just interviewed a gentleman named Rudy Martzke on USA Today. He wrote for many years for USA Today.
Yeah, sure.
He actually critiqued the announcers. Like the Joe Bucks and Jim Nantz and Tony Romo's of the world. He critiqued their performance. I said, Rudy, were you a great athlete growing up? What did you do? He said, no, I just loved sports. I loved being around it. I knew I wanted to be a writer, and I loved writing about it. I loved talking about it. Yeah, I played high school sports and different things, but everybody has a story like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the best parts for me is hearing people's stories about kids today don't have it like we do. Right. I remember going out, we all rode our bikes somewhere, you all went, and wherever you live, you found a group of kids and you played a sport, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't matter what kind of ball it was. If it was a hockey, a stick, and a puck, you went out and figured it out. You put 2 trash cans out and you played hockey, right? We did all that growing up. And kids don't get that today.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about how, we reminisce a lot, but I think the stories where sports leads people is really amazing. I interviewed a gentleman who grew up in Africa, played soccer, moved to Tacoma, Maryland from Africa, was a good soccer player, and sports helped him ingrain in that school because he was a good soccer player. Mm-hmm. Kids talked to him more. They weren't afraid of him. They saw that he was good in sports, and it just that social diversity that he was worried about facing all kind of went away, he said. And when we were all in the field together, my team didn't care where I was from. That's what's great about sports.
Yeah. And the podcast is Huddle Up with Gus, and you can find it anywhere podcasts are downloaded.
Wherever you get your favorite podcasts or whatever you listen to them on. Or you can go to my website, huddleupwithgus.com, and find all our previous episodes. We've got a store on there where if you want to buy some clothes, I got my T-shirt on right here.
Do you have a six-pack for him coming up?
Of course I do.
Then we'll be right back with it. Hang out. We are the Approach Shot. Every once in a while, a new app comes along that you play with for a little bit. And you go, man, this is so cool. There are so many fantastic things we can do with this. And we have found one of those apps. It's called Stereo. It allows podcast creators to build a more intimate relationship with the fan base by engaging them in direct conversation, because listeners can record a question and send it right to you. You can ask for questions, you can entertain, you can have a dialogue. The Approach Shot is really excited to offer our listeners a new way to interact with us. Join us Monday at 2 Eastern Time for a live show on the Stereo app. Just download the free Stereo app and select Approach Shot. Then you can connect with us whenever we're live. Stay tuned for more details on how to engage with us on Stereo at the end of today's episode. There's a wide range of conversation topics going on Stereo right now. There's comedy, there's pop culture, there's lifestyle, there's sports, etc. And Monday at 2, there'll be us. Go there now, www.stereo.com/approachshot. Thanks for hanging. Coming back, Gus Frerotte still our guest. I'm John Ashton. Neil Michaels has a six-pack of questions.
All right, Gus, you ready? We're going to fire these off to you pretty quickly. Who's the person that you enjoyed playing golf with the most?
You know what? And it's going to sound cheesy, but I love playing with my sons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very nice.
Years to enjoy it and love it, and I've always wanted them to be great golfers. And just from the time they were little, and they never wanted to golf. Now they absolutely love it, and I just enjoy going out and playing with them no matter what happens.
Beautiful. Living or dead, who would you like to play around with? And it does not have to be a professional golfer.
I'd want to play with Arnold Palmer, Pennsylvania guy. I just love to go out and hear some of his stories, and I've met him once. I had an old packet of VHS tapes that he actually signed for me, and I still have them in the closet, but that would just be amazing.
We were just talking about Aquaman. What's your favorite golf word?
I don't know. It's 2 words, 3-putt. That seems like that's what I do all the time.
I don't know why that would be your favorite. Then.
That's